All right, excellent. Good discussion on those two songs. Now I'm going to kind of open it up and just let these guys talk about the ones that are their favorites. Usually I go track by track, but it gets a little monotonous over time. So let's find out what they want, what they like, and what they like playing and performing for their audience. I'm sure they like all the songs, but go ahead. He just did that whole album live.
Yeah, we do. We do. Well, so Kat, do you want to say which ones you've really enjoyed, and then I'll chip in about the rest if you like. Maybe do it like that.
I like New Beauty. So that was one that I listened to again over and over in the car. I really like the introduction, and then I think I can't think how far it is in, but somewhere in the intro, it just feels like a song that everyone would know. I don't know why. It just feels like a real something that when you play live, that everybody will start to sort of cheer. Yeah, I really like that one. I like singing it as well.
Yeah, there is kind of a familiar melody. Yeah, I found that too.
It's got quite a hook with that guitar sounding riff at the start, which is, by the way, my keyboard.
Yeah.
And in fact, the name of the track came from the name of the synth patch, which was New Beauty. And I found this thing, and James said, "Oh, can I play that?" I said, "No," because you need to do the guitar bits live. Oh yeah, good point. So I think people are a bit sort of in a joking way surprised when I start doing the delays at the start and all that kind of stuff. But it's good fun. So yeah, that's quite a hooky riff, I think, and then of course the end. Again, I think that within the album, we want to take music forward. Progressive music should be progressive and all that. We do doff our cap to our heroes, and also the end does sound quite Floydy. Got to say it with the sort of big keys and the guitar solo at the end, and the way it fades out and gets more and more mental as it goes along, sort of thing. So that's doffing a cap to our heroes, really, Pink Floyd. But it just seems to fit in really well with the vibe of the song, you know. So that's that. Is that it then, Kat? Just the one, is it?
What do you think of Love? Because that must have been a real tough song to put together.
Maybe I should, Kat, if you don't mind, maybe I'll talk about that one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, go for it.
So yeah, that right. So this song, right. Let's go back a bit. So my mum passed away on the 19th of November 2020.
Sorry, Ben. Sorry to hear.
No, thanks, Mark. And what happened was, it was quite bizarre, because when I started to learn music, I was smaller than this piano seat, and I was looking up at my mum playing piano. She had the most beautiful voice. She used to perform on stage, and she sang classical stuff and operatic stuff and all that. She had the most beautiful voice, and what I didn't realise really is my mum was my inspiration. Anyway, well, I did realise it, not as much as I realised. I should have realised it, if that makes sense. Anyway, so Mum passed away, and what I found really odd is that Mum passed away, and I didn't feel anything for music. I didn't feel negative. I didn't feel bad. Didn't feel positive. I didn't feel I wanted to play my piano since, do any singing or anything. And I guess it was part of, in hindsight, me processing what had happened with losing Mum. But then one day in the January 21, I started playing on my piano here with one finger, like that. And I got this melody going in. And then that's where the Love melody came from, very much sort of my mum in a way. And I found this poem that, in fact, my wife, Debbie, had written for our 16-year-old a couple of years prior, because it related to this horrendous year we'd had. Basically, my wife had lost her dad in the March, she'd lost her grandmother in April, lost my mum in November. So we'd had a really bad year in 2020, right? And each verse, the 3 verses, were about 3 different people. And this poem was beautiful. I was a bit like this, wow, that's beautiful. So, but I had to make the word scan for music, and also not make it too personal, so then people can identify with it when they're listening to it. So you've really got verse 1 is about Debbie's father, and verse 2 is about her grandmother. And then we lifted up one level and then another level for the instrumental. It gives it a bit of power. And in fact, the last verse is actually about my mum, and I almost have to detach myself a bit when I'm playing it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I have to say, though, when Kat first sang it, I did actually, get a bit of welling up. I think Kat knows that, but yeah. So that is that song, and what we found really interesting playing live is that you can hear a pin drop by the end of it, and people are feeling it. They are feeling it. Yeah, so that's a song of the love, and I think if we're talking about favourites on the album, I think that is one of mine, but not just because of that, the provenance of it, but actually, I just think James's guitar solo is right up there. I think it's fantastic. So yeah, so that's that song. But yeah, we enjoy it. I think the other thing is, sorry, as a by the way, is, and I had this in Touchstone, is that it's all too tempting to make it sound big all over the place. I literally stripped it right down. So you had piano and voice, then just voice was just a very soft pad. And then you had that middle section, then build it right up to crescendo and then right down again. So it's because then it's about the vocal and it's about the words, and it's not about being clever with the music or being smart or some great weird sounds. It's about listening to the words, and so I think that's why I quite like that one. I think it does work, and it's moved quite a few people live. In fact, I think Gary, who's the Prog Rock Files DJ chap from Wolverton, Wolves, he came down. He found it got a bit of a one of those going on, I think. Anyway, but yeah, so that's the love, and yeah, and Kat sang it absolutely beautifully live a couple of weeks ago. So thank you, Kat.
I had a friend actually who was, and she said the same. She said, "Oh, that one that you did in the middle." She was like, "I got really quite teary about that."
Yeah, it is a weller upper.
Yeah,
but I just think that's what music is about: is if you can move people and help get it out, it's quite cathartic for the person playing it and the person listening, and that's a good thing. It's good for the soul, as they say. So yeah, so that's that one. So in a way, that's part of this. Let's say there's two themes for Nemesis. One is the aren't we stupid to ourselves as a race and as individuals, but then there's also that thing we have the ability to love and the ability to hang on to the love that you've had with someone and hang on to that yourself, but also share it with others. So yeah, that's kind of that.
We had a video as well to go with.
Say again?
We had the video as well to go with it, which was amazing.
Yeah, we had, of course, we had visuals behind each of the tracks, and so that was quite. And hats off to James, by the way. He did a lot of the visuals. I did some, but James did the bulk, and it was just beautiful. It was beautiful. It's probably a good job I couldn't see the visuals because it's probably set me off. Well, I'm playing, get tears on the keyboard, electrocute myself, end of Cottingham. But no, it was. Yeah, it went down really. I say you could hear a pin drop at the end. Just everyone was hanging on to the word. It was lovely. To be fair, it was lovely. So yeah, so I think that's a fun one.
Can I just ask you about the beginning to Deja Vu? That sounded so much like a Peter Gabriel album, or even some of Phil Collins solo stuff, but it was just excellent. Just a nice reminder. Not a copy or anything like that.
No.
You're doing that.
Oh no!
But it's just a real nice.
Yeah, that's a good pickup. That's a good pickup, Mark, because one of my favourite Genesis songs is "Fading Lights," and that has the CompuRhythm CR70, Roland CR70 drum machine being used. And I loved what Phil Collins and Genesis did with all that, and I still love drum machines now. And so I wanted a little bit of that, and it is on Nemesis as well. A little bit of that going on, because I always love it when the drums kick in, the real drums kick in. It just goes whoosh like this. But I love the purity and the low key nature in a way of drum machines. So no, thanks for that. And Deja Vu is I see it as a bit of a breather on the album. I mean, it is like those moments in life where you think, have I done this before, and have I thought this before and seen this before, and you're not entirely sure, and you're in that kind of midway state. We're not quite sure what's going on, almost a half dream state, half awake state, and that's kind of what that's about in a way. And yeah, and we've been playing as a band. We've been playing that one quite a while. We did that live in Holland back in 2019. So it's great to get it on the album and get it out there. And it's just, again, it's a little number. It's not meant to be too big an epic and all that. It's just sort of a pleasant little breather, is what I describe it on the album. So no, thanks for mentioning that. And then of course you go straight into Jumping on the Moon, and that one was always in a way meant to be a fun track, have an upbeat feel. Certainly, as and when we were playing in front of 20,000 people in stadiums, I want everyone to be jumping up and down, because it's got that jumping up and down feel to it.
Well, it reminded me of Van Halen, which I know they're not at the top of your list of favorite bands, but it had that jump kind of sound too.
Oh, totally. I mean, in fact the stabs on the keyboards are not dissimilar. In fact, they're very similar to a Mike Rutherford song. I realised post-event, but it's classic 80s kind of slightly cheesy stuff, but the cheese is taken away by the rock guitars coming in, and the middle section and the end section sort of thing. And that was always meant to be a bit of a fun track, and the vibe of it is about hope, and about not shattering our children's dreams. And it's partly inspired by Tim Peake, that British astronaut, because he just, ginger lad, and he was good at the scouts and this, and he dreamt about going to space, and then he did, and I just thought, it wasn't about him, but it's about a young lad who thinks about this. And then the last verse is he's actually on the moon, looking, as it were, down on Earth, although it would actually be Earthrise, but anyway, down Earth. And just to say,
your dreams.
Oh yeah, our children are our hope, right? When you look at what's going on, we need all the hope in the world at the moment, and our children are our hope. I've met so many young people that are inspirational. They are absolutely inspirational.
Yeah,
and Kat mixes a lot of young people at the moment. I'll let her comment on that or not, she sees fit. But they are our hope, and the worst thing you can do is to put fences around children's dreams, in my view. So that's about not having that, breaking the chains, let people go for it, and encourage them. That's what do you think, Kat?
Yeah, no, definitely. I'm a teacher, and we're constantly speaking to the children about aspirations, trying to get people in to schools to inspire them, because a lot of children, don't have that belief, and they everything's very much about their little village or their little town where they live, and they don't see themselves having these big dreams. So yeah, no, I totally agree with you, and I love that one, and actually my children love that one. That's the one they always ask to play.
It's a fun one.
And over here we're so I couldn't imagine being a high school or even elementary student now, when you're teaching your kids to duck and cover, not for nuclear war, which we did, but for guns, and your own fellow students walking in with a gun, or the teacher or some person randomly off the street. So over here, yeah, these poor kids have so much to worry about, and yeah, a song like this is definitely what they need. They need to be inspired to look.
And it's awful what's been happening over in the US. Well, for many years, and I actually wrote a song in Touchstone, which we never released, about Sandy Hook. I think it's Sandy Hook, many years ago. It's just appalling, and that definitely needs sorting, doesn't it? Really.
You're lucky you guys have more gun control over there. I wish we did.
Yeah,
we're working on it. There's a lot of us trying, but
well,
sorry.
No, go on, Kat.
I've been teaching for 12 years, and we've always done fire alarm drills and things. In the last 5 years, we've started having to do lockdown drills, so there's a different sound, and I mean, the children, they can't really relate to it, and we will say to the children, oh, you never know if it could be an animal or something like that. This is why we do it. But ultimately, when I first started teaching, you wouldn't have even thought of doing anything like that.
No, I'll tell you what, a good example, Kat, actually, I saw on the news today, is there's a lion wandering through the street. I think it was in Italy. This lion got out of the zoo. So in a way, that's quite a nice example that kids could relate to, which is, if there's a lion gets out of the zoo, then, lock down and keep yourself safe, kids, kind of thing, rather than talking about the gun side. But yeah, so that's what that song. So that's the Hope thing. And then we do go into Save the Earth, which is like a prologue to Nemesis. And as you know, Mark, I sent you the words which aren't spoken on the album. They're for people to read in their own voice.
Yes.
And in a way, Save the Earth, it's a little bit of a doffing a cap to Vangelis, who's obviously passed away sort of fairly recently. And just to have a bit of a short instrumental, it's just keys, so the orchestral vibe makes a change, but also it's to give you a chance to read the words and think about the Nemesis thing, as I say, you know, the fact what we're like to each other as a race, let alone how we let ourselves down as individuals, but also the love thing, that there is the hope there, the ability to love each other, and that maybe that can help us through all this kind of stuff, which then kind of leads into Nemesis, which I think is, you know, and I have to say, I think it is one of my favorite tracks on the album. I'm really, really chuffed with that. I think I love Paul's bass on it, by the way. I just love what Paul's done on the bass, the way he slides it up and down. And when we're playing it live, I get distracted by him playing his bass, because personally, I love bass guitar, right? If you put a gun to my head and said, we shouldn't talk about guns. Anyway, if you put something to my head, a cucumber to my head, and said, right, what would you if you weren't playing keyboards, what you played bass guitar? Actually, I love it. I love bass guitar. And Paul is exemplary, but I love what he's done on the bass guitar on Nemesis. And Graham and I worked really hard on the drums, because I did say I kind of wrote the draft and I was a bit precious about it, because I felt it was really one of the strongest tracks I'd done. And so Graham was very accommodating. But what's great about being in a band is Graham came back with some drum ideas. It's like, yeah, that's way better than my idea. And so it was a really lovely collaboration at the end. And I just think that the way it progresses through to the end, it just seems to work. And it was an epic way to finish the live gig we did two weeks ago in Milton Keynes. It was a good ending. So yeah, and that track especially, as you look at the hits, I think that's getting the most hits, isn't it, Kat, from what James is saying?
Yeah,
seems to be one that's caught most of people's imaginations. And again, you know, it's drum machine, low key verses, just, you know, a bit of pad and sequence or whatever, and then bang in great big choruses, sort of thing. You know, it works.
Did you want to talk
I
about
think it all.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, the chorus again feels like something that you've heard for years. It doesn't feel like a new song when you're singing it. It's like, have I sung this before? Is this I can't think that it's similar to anything, but it just feels like a well-known song.
Yeah, and
it feels like that 80s. You know, I think I put in the Hugh Marillion, IQ, Pendragon Palace. It fits. It would fit perfectly in there. Not that you're copying, but you're from that era and you love that era like I did, and you can't help but be influenced, I'm sure.
Absolutely. And I have to doff my cap to John Mitchell, because he and I mixed the album. John does most of the mix and I do the tweaks of the mix. And when he mixed that, because actually the choruses are, I have to say, a bit of a tribute to my parents in a way. And again, the words are generic, so you can relate it to whoever catches you when you fall, whether they're with us or not with us. Well, mum and dad are still here for me, and when I fall, they're always there to catch me in a way. And so it's a bit of a tribute to them, as that's a personal thing. But the way John mixed it, and he says, right, over to you, Cotters, chuck me the cans. I put it on, and I was almost a bit like this, because it was so well mixed. I hardly had to change it, to be honest. And also, he's known me now for years, so he knows kind of what I'm after and what the band's after, and all that. And it was just beautiful the way it mixed it. It was fantastic. You know, it sounded fantastic. So yeah, so the production side as well, it does sound great, to be fair. It has that big sound and then the small sound as well. So yeah, hats off to Mr. Mitchell. He did a great job on the whole lot, actually, on the whole album.
All right. So fantastic album. You've already played it live. Do you have some upcoming gigs that you want to talk about, or probably next year's?
Well, so we will be announcing shortly a festival next year. We can't say about that yet. We are planning, so going reverse a bit, planning a tour possibly in late spring of next year, around the UK. And that's based upon the fact that we are, hopefully all being well, touch wood, recording our third album in early February time. Because actually most of the third album has been written, and then we need to band it up. We need to get the band to get the knives and forks out and really make it sound like a band album. And there's maybe one or two tracks where I wait for James to send a riff through to sort of build something up and literally work on something just as a band from the scratch and things. So, but yeah, about 80 or 90% of it is written, and we're looking forward. And obviously, I can't wait for Kat to get in the studio. And obviously, you've heard one song, which is Salvation. That will be off the third album, without a shadow of a doubt. So that gives you a lovely little taster in a way. And so yeah, so we're not doing any more gigs this year. I mean, if we get asked, we'll consider it because we're gig ready, obviously. But the focus now is I think we want to keep the momentum going, Mark. You know, Nemesis has gone down really well. We've had amazing reviews across the world, to be honest. We really have, from all over the place. It seems to have gone down really well. And so what we want to do really is carry on with the momentum because of what COVID and all the 7-year gap and all that. We want to keep pushing forward here. So now Kat's in the band. Let's get an album out now with Kat on it. So when we do go out in hopefully late spring, then it'll be, yes, Nemesis, but there'll be new stuff off the new album, whose name I can't say. And then, you know, we'll be able to go out there with songs that Kat will have done the original vocal on as well. So so that's quite exciting.
Is she writing some of the lyrics as well, or
some lyrics, Kat?
Well, sorry, what was that?
Not yet.
Are you writing some of the lyrics as well, or for the new album?
No, not at the moment.
So to be fair to Kat, most of this third album was written before Kat joined, and lyrics have been written. But nonetheless, on the new one or two tracks, Kat is very welcome to write any lyrics, and obviously on the tracks that have been written, because Kat can sort of put her teacher hat on and wave a finger at me and say, "Hold on a minute, grammatically this isn't quite correct, Rob. So I think you need to change it here." So, but look, Kat and I get on so well; it's not a problem. If Kat wants to change a lyric or improve a lyric, I have always said to anyone in the band, you know, anyone with better ideas, please put them on the table, because we will always put better ideas in to make it a band song and lift it. Because the band really do lift it. You know, as I say, I take my hat off to Paul and James and Graham. They're great guys to work with, and they always lift the album. And I would ask to anybody listening to this, if you want to check out the rest of the band, you can find us on cairorocks.com, which is our website. You can find everything on there. Yeah, so I just think it's important, especially when they're not here, to represent themselves, to really sort of say, look, they are brilliant. They're brilliant to work with, great fun. We do have a laugh, don't we, Kat? Just so looking forward to working with them on album 3 and getting that out there next year. Famous last words. Touch wood.
All right, just one more thing for Kat, and then we'll try to wrap it up. What are some of your influences?
So I've got older brothers and sisters. So I think that's why my music taste is so eclectic, because I can remember my eldest brother is I say that now, I can't really think of particular bands and things, but let's put it this way, his bedroom was black growing up. He had black walls and all sorts. And so, you know, sometimes I don't even know who sings a particular song, but I'll hear something and it will remind me of my brother. So growing up, I was listening to, and my dad as well, I was listening to Sheryl Crow. I absolutely love Counting Crows. My brother was really into Counting Crows. We've been to some concerts together before. I'm trying to think. All kinds of music, really. On the spot, I can't think. Even things like ABBA, Ace of Base, I think was my first single. What's the song? She Leads a Lonely Life. That was my first single. My brother,
that's great.
He was living in, yeah, and I had it. It was I think it's a little black.
Yeah, somebody famous.
That do, 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 do. That's the bit.
Yeah.
and then I was also into like boy bands, and then I loved Jack Johnson. My husband went to New Zealand on a like an exchange when we were at university, and he was really into it. So was I. When I was at school, I used to sing for the boys in my year that would play guitar. So I would sing. I'd sometimes be singing like Incubus and different things like that. So I really just, if I like a song, I'll play it. I'll add it to an album. You know, I'll add it to a playlist. Sorry, it isn't that I like one particular style of music. And
Well, all right. Let me ask you guys the sort of final question. Is there anything that I missed or anything you want to talk about that I haven't?
Ladies first.
I don't think so. I don't think I can think of anything. About you, Rob?
No, I think it's been really comprehensive. I mean, we didn't talk about Rogue, but apart from that,
Talk about what?
Rogue, the track.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. No, it's okay. No. I mean, so just to say that's a fun track as well, really. Well, it's fun, but it's a bit sort of thematic rather than being a story, and it ends in a slightly twisted way, a little bit like Touchstone stuff, actually. That is right, and so it's a bit of an unusual one, Rogue, because you've got it's a bit of rocker and it goes to this kind of halfway housey thing at the end, which is a bit more melodic and draws you in again, and it's a little bit a bit pointed. So yeah, it's worth people having. We won't talk too much about it because otherwise people won't buy the album. So that's the only other thing is people need to buy the album. I think the only thing I'd like to say is I do want to thank Spirit of Unicorn, who are affiliated to QEDG, who's, as you will know, with what you're wearing and the album behind you, are very connected to ELP and some great Asia and so on and so forth, John Wetton and so on and so forth, Keith Anderson. So I just want to say thanks to Spirit of Unicorn because they got behind this album about a year ago. Actually, we signed, and they've just been absolutely brilliant. Martin Darville and his team. So it's just really to say thanks to them because sometimes the labels don't get mentioned, and it's a really true partnership. It really is, and they've just been absolutely brilliant to help get it out there. Because that's the bit, we as a band, I've done the cottage industry thing with Touchstone. I don't want to do that again. And so they have been absolutely brilliant at getting it out there and helping to promote it. So just a quick thank you to them, really. But I think that's probably it, Mark. Just a really big thank you to you for all your time and really good questions and letting us talk about, the album that we kind of love. It's great to talk about it. Thank you.
And that's good that you mentioned the label because I've been hearing a lot of people are frustrated with not having one. And I remember back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, they were like, let's get rid of these people. And then the internet came along and it was like, let's get rid of these labels. And now people are like, God, I wish I had a label, to help me, get my music out. And now you've got, these Spotify and things like that don't pay you.
Yeah.
So no, it's good that you found a good connection and working with you and helping you. That is absolutely wonderful to hear.
Yeah, they're brilliant. They really are brilliant. So thank you, to them and to you for mentioning it. But so thank you. And we just say, again, finally released, we would love to get over the pond and play over in America. As I mentioned, we'd love to play over there. So if anyone wants us over there on festivals or on cruises or anything like that, then get us over there. We'd love to play it.
Anything else, Kat?
No, just thank you. Thank you for having us.
All right. Well, you guys stay with me a minute, but thank you very much for everything today. It was wonderful. And thanks for joining us here on Progressive Rock Central and the Noble Shire for progressive discussion. And I had to pick a real hard one.
Yeah, you did, didn't you?
All right, but hang in here. I'm going to stop the recording, but hold on.